Okay, I got my coffee. So that's a good start. And then I was reading the news there on my phone. Looks like Canada caved in on their trade BS. Trump said, boom, done negotiating with Canada. Now Canada is quickly turned around and rescinded. Yeah, Canada can't survive without the United States. 40% of their GDP is the United States. You stop that, and Canada's done. You name it, we supply it, for Canada. Canada's a huge, huge country, but with very limited land and space as far as usable farmland. Not to mention, the winter, the seasons up there are fairly short. They don't really grow a lot of crops. I mean, they do. Don't get me wrong, but not to the extent of the United States. So, they really, really depend on us to get anything done. So, we really should just, if there's a province that wants to jump over and be the 51st state, by God, they should have the right to do so. Because the Canadian government is just horrendous. I have friends in Canada. Their medical system. People come here to the United States for treatment because their socialized medicine program over there doesn't work. I'm also German, and I can tell you firsthand experience there in Germany. The socialized medical care system that they have there is a joke, an absolute joke. My 80-plus-year-old grandmother spent 3 days in the hallway, fell out of her bed because they didn't have a room for her. Because, they basically look at the senior citizens as, they only have a few more years to live, so they're not really a priority. That's no shit. You're not a priority. Now, you take an 80-year-old versus a 21-year-old or a 22-year-old. That 22-year-old, if he's got a problem with his knee, he's going to get fixed lickety-split. That 80-year-old, my grandfather being an example, has problems with his knee. He's on a waiting list. So he needed both his knees replaced. Needless to say, he died before he got his knees replaced. That's how effed up it is in European countries. They truly do discriminate. And when people say, well, it's got pluses and minuses. No, it's got more minuses than it does pluses, let me tell you. And then that jackwagon in New York, we're going to take all the grocery stores, we're going to federalize them. Yeah, look how well that worked out for Venezuela. We're going to take we're going to seize ownership of everything, and the government's going to run it. The fucking government in this country couldn't even run the post office. Okay, they can't run NASA. NASA is so overbloated. And Doge has proved our government is just swollen with thieves. Just yesterday, I heard on the radio, there's a couple of individuals in Florida, state of Florida. I don't have all the news, but it was a lawyer that came out and was talking about it. And 2 individuals had managed to swindle out of, I believe it was Medicaid, over $100 million. Two dudes. This isn't isolated. This is throughout the United States this takes place. Because there's no oversight because we're so bloated. So these guys got away with it. But eventually, the right group of people get in office and they start looking at shit a lot closer. So these guys are looking to do probably the rest of their lives in prison, which they should. I think if you steal from the American people, and I believe you steal from the weak, the meek, the handicapped, I think your penalties should be a tad bit stiffer. And we have to wait and see what happens. So hopefully that happens. So that's on YouTube. I found that on YouTube. $100 million in fraud from Medicaid. So YouTube it, Google it, however you want to do it. But it's out there. And Doge was a good thing. And people that think that it wasn't, you're crazy. A lot of you probably don't realize that there were over 430,000 credit cards with a $10,000 limit that wasn't tied to anybody. These were active credit cards that any Joe Schmo could have picked up and used and charged 10 grand on. Unbelievable. I mean, the information's out there. You just gotta, look for it yourself, and then always look at the source, because they'll throw information out there, and the source of that information could be on the other side. What I mean by they're trying to besmirch, Trump, when you find out the source is an anti-Trumper. He supports this liberal cause, this liberal cause, or he's a liberal reporter, has been for decades, yada, yada, yada. So he's really not truly giving you an independent analysis on anything in the Trump administration, because they all got their spin. So when you look at a source, whether it's on the internet or wherever, you got to look at not just the article, but the source of the article, and then dig into their background. Just like studies, medical studies. So-and-so did a medical study on this. Well, you'll find that a lot of these medical studies are funded by the same group that came out with the pharmaceutical. So they're going to spin it to sound good for them. They're not going to give you any negative shit. Absolutely not. They want it to sound good for them. I just passed my son. Anyway, so that's all I got to say about that. So I got my coffee. I'm going to nurse on that for a wee bit. So you have a great day. Oh, like and subscribe. Give me a thumbs up, please. And leave a comment.